The story of Scarlet City Church began in 2011 with a vision to be a people joining God's story of transformation and renewal. You see, our vision didn't start with us. It begins with joining God and His work to make the world right through Jesus. Even though we started a new church, what we are doing isn't new. It is connecting with the gospel story that began when Jesus sent His followers to bring the good news of hope and healing that our world needs and that our Savior provides. This gospel movement, God's story, is what we at Scarlet City Church strive to carry forward right here, right now. So what does this look like? We believe it begins with you and me. It begins with us. When we see how God's story radically changes our story, we're able to see the gospel of Jesus as something we not only talk about, but something that completely transforms the way we view ourselves, others, and the world. It changes our view of work, our view of money, our view of politics and relationships. We begin to see everything not as a means of our own personal gratification and consumption, but as an opportunity to bless God and others. When we allow God's story to become our story, our lives are completely transformed. When we understand God's story and allow it to reshape every aspect of our lives, we're able to bring renewal to our city and world. God's story is a story of welcoming the sojourner, embracing the refugee searching for protection. It's a story of tearing down walls, not building new ones. In fact, the power of the gospel is demonstrated in that it is not confined to a particular region or language, but is fiercely multicultural. God's story is not built on fear and anger, but is built on hope and love. We want to see God's story come to bear in Columbus, to see the city we love continue to grow in protecting and caring for those on the margins, for the city to address institutions of racism, for the city to be a safe place for people with differing views. We want Columbus to view its quirks and its diversity as a strength, not a liability. At Scarlet City Church, we want to be a people who pray and work toward social, cultural, and spiritual renewal. We want to serve, work, and witness God's love in the city, with the city, and for the city. Join us as together we join God's amazing story at work in our lives, in our church, in our city, and in our world.